What if the most relaxing part of your day was secretly the most damaging? Imagine this. You've just finished a long, stressful day at work. You collapse onto your favorite chair, turn on the TV, and finally, you breathe. You feel the tension melt away. This, you believe, is your body recovering. But science is revealing a terrifying truth. That very act of prolonged, comfortable sitting, the one we equate with rest and safety, is placing a slow, silent, and invisible strain on your heart. It's a paradox that affects nearly everyone, yet almost no one is talking about it. If you want to understand the hidden dangers in your daily routine, make sure you subscribe, because what you're about to learn could fundamentally change how you view relaxation. The core of the problem lies in our modern definition of rest. We've been conditioned to believe that the opposite of stress is stillness. But physiologically, that's a dangerous oversimplification. Our cardiovascular system is a dynamic engine, designed for movement. It doesn't differentiate between sitting at a desk for 8 hours or sitting on a couch for 4. To your heart, it's all the same, a state of profound inactivity. This counterfeit comfort sends a cascade of confusing signals through your body. While your mind feels at ease, your circulatory system enters a state of low-grade emergency, struggling against the simple, brutal force of gravity, without the aid of muscular contraction that it has relied on for millennia. We are not resting, we are stagnating. Here's what's happening the moment you settle in. Without the constant, subtle engagement of your leg muscles from standing or walking, blood circulation slows dramatically. Gravity begins to win, causing blood to pool in the veins of your lower legs. This increases hydrostatic pressure, forcing fluid out of your vessels and into the surrounding tissues. Your heart, now sensing a decrease in the volume of blood returning to it, has to work harder, not less, to maintain adequate circulation to your brain and vital organs. It's forced to beat more forcefully to push blood through a sluggish, congested system. This is why your blood pressure can remain stubbornly high, even when you feel completely relaxed. Your heart is fighting a battle you can't even feel. This constant low-level struggle takes a toll on the heart muscle itself. Like any muscle, the heart adapts to the demands placed upon it. A sedentary lifestyle signals that a high-efficiency, powerful pump is no longer required. Over time, the heart muscle can become less efficient at pumping blood with each beat, a measure known as stroke volume. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, followed thousands of adults and found a direct correlation between daily sitting time and a decline in left ventricular function. For every additional hour of sitting per day, participants showed a measurable decrease in their heart's pumping efficiency, independent of their exercise habits. Your rest is actively deconditioning your most vital organ. This physical stagnation is only one half of a far more dangerous equation. Because what do we typically do while we're relaxing on the couch? We eat. We consume processed snacks, sugary drinks, and high-fat meals. We flood our already sluggish bloodstream with glucose and lipids at the precise moment our muscles are least capable of absorbing them for energy. This creates a perfect storm within our arteries. The combination of stagnant blood flow and a sudden influx of metabolic stressors is a recipe for inflammation and plaque buildup. But the real question is, how does this combination transform a seemingly harmless snack into a direct assault on your heart? The answer to that is even more shocking than the effects of sitting alone. That seemingly harmless snack in your hand could be the true Trojan horse. We're not talking about obvious candy. The deception is hidden in the health food aisle, the low-fat yogurt, the whole-grain cereal, the granola bar marketed as pure energy. These foods wear a mask of wellness, promising vitality, while secretly flooding your system with refined sugars. We've been conditioned to fear fat, meticulously checking labels for its content, all while the primary architect of arterial damage, sugar, slips by completely unnoticed, disguised as a friend. It's a calculated deception that turns our best intentions against us. When you consume these hidden sugars, a damaging biochemical cascade begins. The glucose spikes your blood sugar, forcing a flood of insulin from your pancreas. Over time, your cells grow resistant to this constant signaling, a condition preceding diabetes. The fructose component is more insidious. Nearly all of it is processed by the liver, and when overwhelmed, the liver converts it into triglycerides, fat that enters your bloodstream. This isn't speculation. Major studies in journals like JAMA, Internal Medicine have linked higher added sugar intake to a dramatically increased risk of death from cardiovascular disease. This state of high blood sugar creates chronic, low-grade inflammation. Think of sugar molecules as microscopic abrasives, scraping the delicate inner lining of your arteries, the endothelium, creating thousands of tiny injuries. Your body's natural response is to repair this damage with inflammation, sending cholesterol to act as a biological band-aid. But when the sugary assault is constant, this inflammatory response never shuts off. Chronic inflammation causes LDL cholesterol to oxidize and become trapped in the arterial wall, forming the foundation of atherosclerotic plaque. Your arteries harden, not from dietary fat, but because sugar lit the inflammatory fire. The evidence is overwhelming. Landmark investigations like the Framingham Heart Study show that elevated blood sugar is a powerful predictor of heart disease, sometimes more so than LDL cholesterol. This information is crucial for taking control. If you're finding this breakdown valuable for cutting through marketing myths, please support our work by hitting the like button and subscribing. It tells us to keep making content that empowers you with facts. We're also curious, what S1 healthy food you were shocked to find was loaded with sugar? Share it in the comments below. We've unmasked the first silent enemy, a dietary saboteur, disguised as health food, weakening our arteries from within. We've seen how a physical substance, something we can measure, wages a slow war on our cardiovascular system. But what if the most potent catalyst for this damage isn't something we eat? What if the true danger lies not on our plate, but in our mind? We've explored the biochemical stress from sugar. But now we must ask, could the chronic mental and emotional stress of daily life create an even more toxic, inflammatory environment for our heart than any meal ever could? But what if the most significant threat to your heart isn't on your plate, but in your head? We've unmasked the dangers of sugar, but a far more ancient and insidious process is at play every single day, triggered not by what you eat, but by how you perceive the world around you. This is the cortisol cascade, your brain's secret war on your heart. It all begins with a primal survival mechanism hardwired into your DNA, the fight or flight response. When our ancestors faced a predator, their brains flooded their bodies with adrenaline and cortisol. These stress hormones were lifesavers, sharpening focus, dumping glucose into the bloodstream for quick energy, and increasing heart rate to prepare for intense physical action. The threat appeared, the body responded, and once the danger passed, the system returned to a state of calm. The problem is, in our modern world, the predator never leaves. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a lion in the savannah and an overflowing email inbox, a looming deadline, or a traffic jam. To your nervous system, they are all threats that demand a response. But unlike a physical threat that is quickly resolved, modern stresses are chronic, low-grade, and relentless. This keeps your fight-or-flight system perpetually activated, marinating your organs in a constant bath of stress hormones. Your body never receives the all-clear signal. It remains in a state of high alert, day after day, week after week. This state of chronic activation is not a temporary emergency measure. It becomes your physiological baseline. Your body is constantly preparing for a fight that never comes. And this ceaseless internal alarm is systematically dismantling your cardiovascular health from the inside out, without you even feeling it until it's far too late. The damage is direct and mechanical. When cortisol and adrenaline surge, they signal your blood vessels to constrict, to narrow. This is a useful response when you have a wound and need to reduce blood loss. But when it happens constantly, it's like forcing the entire volume of a river through a garden hose. Your heart, a muscle designed for rhythmic efficiency, is now forced to pump with much greater force to push blood through these tightened pathways. This is the very definition of high blood pressure. It's not just a number on a doctor's chart. It's a physical state of intense, unrelenting strain on your most vital organ. If you feel this information is valuable, please hit the like button and let us know in the comments what you believe is the biggest source of stress in modern life. Your engagement helps us continue to bring this critical knowledge to more people. Over time, this constant, punishing pressure inflicts physical damage. Think of the delicate, smooth inner lining of your arteries, known as the endothelium. Sustained high blood pressure acts like a relentless sandblaster against this fragile surface, creating microscopic tears and lesions. These damaged areas become sticky, inflammation sets in, and they become the perfect breeding ground for the cholesterol and plaque we discussed earlier to take root and build up. Cortisol itself further fuels this fire by directly promoting inflammation throughout the body. It's a devastating 1-2 punch. The pressure creates the damage, and the hormones create an inflammatory environment that ensures the damage festers and grows, silently hardening and clogging the very highways your life depends on. This destructive cycle is then viciously compounded by its effect on sleep. Cortisol is meant to be at its lowest levels at night to allow for deep, restorative rest. But when your brain is in a constant state of alert, cortisol levels remain elevated, preventing you from achieving the stages of sleep where your body performs its most critical repairs. Your cardiovascular system is denied its nightly maintenance window. So, you wake up feeling unrested. Your body is even more stressed from sleep deprivation, which triggers more cortisol release, which in turn leads to even worse sleep. It's a downward spiral that dramatically accelerates heart damage. And what do we instinctively reach for when we're stressed and exhausted? Often, it's the very next habit on our list, a perceived solution that is actually pouring gasoline on the fire. And so, we arrive at the great paradox of modern life. After a day spent battling the cortisol cascade we just described, we seek refuge. We crave an escape, a way to decompress and shut off the noise of the world. For millions, that escape is found in the cool, blue glow of a screen. We collapse onto the couch, convinced that scrolling through social media or binge-watching the latest hit series is a form of restorative self-care. We feel our minds go numb, our bodies go slack, and we mistake this state of passive consumption for genuine relaxation. But what if this nightly ritual, this trusted method of winding down, is secretly winding up our risk for the very thing we're trying to escape? What if the light we turn to for comfort is actually plunging our internal systems into a state of silent, biological chaos, setting the stage for cardiac failure while we believe we are resting? The culprit is a specific wavelength of light that our devices emit in abundance. Blue light. For millennia, the only significant source of this light was the sun, signaling to our brains that it was daytime. Our internal clock, a master regulator located in a part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, evolved to respond to this signal. When it detects blue light, it sends a powerful message throughout the body. Stay awake, be alert. Crucially, it also halts the production of melatonin, the hormone that governs our sleep-wake cycle. When you stare at a phone, tablet, or television late at night, you are essentially tricking your brain into thinking it's the middle of the afternoon. You are sending a direct, hormonal command to suppress the very process of rest and repair your body desperately needs after a stressful day. This deliberate disruption of our circadian rhythm has devastating consequences for the heart. Deep, restorative sleep is not a passive state. It is an active, critical maintenance period for the cardiovascular system. It is during these hours that the body works to repair damaged cells, reduce inflammation, and, most importantly, lower blood pressure and heart rate. This phenomenon, known as nocturnal dipping, gives your heart and arteries a vital break from the hypersure demands of waking life. By suppressing melatonin with late-night screen time, you rob yourself of this essential recovery phase. Your blood pressure remains elevated, your heart rate stays high, and your vascular system is denied its nightly repair window, leaving it progressively more worn and vulnerable, night after night. The act of binge-watching introduces a second, compounding danger: profound physical inactivity. After spending 8 hours sitting at a desk, many of us spend another 3 to 4 hours sitting motionless in front of a screen. This prolonged sedentariness is a distinct health risk, independent of whether you exercise at other times of the day. When you remain immobile for extended periods, your circulation slows, your metabolism grinds to a halt, and the large muscles in your legs which play a key role in clearing fats and sugars from the bloodstream become dormant. This creates a perfect storm where the stress hormones from your day remain circulating in a sluggish system, while the blue light from the screen simultaneously prevents the hormonal cascade needed to initiate recovery. This is the deceptive bargain we've made. We trade genuine, biological restoration for the illusion of mental escape, engaging in habits that feel like a release, but function like a slow-acting poison. We flood our brains with artificial daylight and chain our bodies to the couch, all in the name of relaxation. This combination of hormonal disruption and physical stagnation is a powerful, yet hidden, driver of heart disease. But even this insidious habit pales in comparison to the final, most overlooked factor. Because the most damaging behavior of all isn't something you actively do, isn't a food you eat, or a screen you watch. It is something you fundamentally lack, a void in modern life that is quietly eroding our hearts from the inside out. The most damaging habit of all isn't something you add to your life, but something that's missing from it. We're talking about chronic loneliness. It sounds more like an emotional issue than a physical threat, but the data is terrifyingly clear. Landmark studies have shown that prolonged social isolation carries a health risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is more lethal than obesity and physical inactivity combined. This isn't about feeling sad for an evening. It's a sustained physiological state of disconnection that wages a silent, relentless war on your cardiovascular system, often with no obvious symptoms until it is far too late. It is the invisible risk factor that can undermine every other healthy choice you make. So how does a feeling translate into direct physical damage? The mechanism is rooted in our evolutionary biology. For millennia, social exclusion meant mortal danger. Your brain perceives chronic loneliness as a constant, low-grade threat, keeping your fight-or-flight system permanently engaged. This floods your body with cortisol, the same stress hormone we discussed earlier, but now it's a constant drip, not just a temporary spike. This chronic inflammation, which can be measured by elevated levels of C-reactive protein in the blood, acts like sandpaper on the inner linings of your arteries. It stiffens blood vessels, raises your resting blood pressure, and makes your blood more likely to clot, creating the perfect storm for a heart attack or stroke. This is the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. Throughout this journey, we've unmasked the hidden sugars in so-called healthy foods that silently fuel inflammation. We've dismantled the myth of high-intensity only cardio, revealing the profound life-extending benefits of consistent Zone 2 training. We've explored the cortisol cascade, triggered by modern stress, and how our deceptive decompression habits like late-night screen time only amplify the damage by disrupting vital sleep. Loneliness doesn't just add to this list. It acts as a multiplier, making you more susceptible to stress, more likely to make poor food choices, and less motivated to stay active. It's the thread that can unravel all your other good intentions. So, what is the path forward? It's about small, sustainable shifts, not a complete life overhaul. Start by reading one food label a day, find your zone to heart rate, and try a 30-minute brisk walk 3 times a week. Set a digital curfew 1 hour before bed. And to combat isolation, schedule one phone call with a friend or family member this week. Just one. Now, it is absolutely essential to state that this information is for educational purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please, always consult with your healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet, exercise routine, or overall lifestyle. Your heart health isn't defined by one single choice, but by the ecosystem of your daily habits. It's a system where your diet, your movement, your stress, and your social connections are all deeply intertwined. The power to change lies not in a radical, unsustainable overhaul, but in the consistent application of these small, intelligent choices. If you're ready to master the single most powerful tool you have for nightly cardiovascular repair, click the video on your screen right now. It's a deep dive into the science of sleep stages and how to optimize them for a healthier heart. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because understanding your body is the first step to protecting it for a lifetime.